I'm very glad to be here today at the conference of ecoDa and PwC, because we have an interesting topic which is not clear in the beginning, because we're talking about actually comply and explain, and it gives us a wonderful chance to once more explain about what we think about comply and explain, because we wouldn't have the topic on the panel for innovative companies if something wouldn't go wrong here. Comply and explain is comply and explain. It's certain that companies deviate from certain standards if they don't fit for their company, especially small companies, because comply and explain is standard for the bigger companies and listed mature companies on the capital market. So it's a topic that has to be repeated again and again. And I think corporate governance codes are fit for even smaller, innovative companies. They have a different focus. The Cordula paper that we're talking about today as well states that it's aiming at value protection, not value creation. That is true, but in my opinion, this is perfectly right, because it's about checks and balances within the company that have to be treated properly. Value creation is part of strategy and management, and I cannot imagine that codes would apply that principle, have any recommendation in that area. And so I think CEOs would like to have a code say how they run the company, because this is basically it. And so it's perfectly fine. We have the checks and balances that are dealt by within the codes. Maybe you can put something on corporate culture that helps to have a decent strategy and business. So this is perfect. We have the mechanisms. We have options also for companies that are afraid of hostile takeovers. If you're an innovative company, go to the capital market. I can imagine it's not. If you deal with control, it's not about not giving shareholders a say, but being afraid of a hostile takeover. And as the Cordula paper also states, and as we all know, in the US especially, there's multiple voting rights and stuff like this that have come up for innovative companies. But in Germany, even for mature companies in the DAX, in the top 30 DAX, we have special constructions like the limited partnership by shares and preference shares. And limited partnership by shares works like this, that you have the shareholders that don't have the same say on everything which is normal for stock corporations, but they cannot decide on remuneration, for example, or the supervisory board cannot do this, but the limited partners do. But the limited partners, they are liable for the debts of the company with the private assets. So I think this is fair. Preference shares give shareholders a higher return, a higher dividend. Actually, their voting right is bought out every AGM anew, and they get a higher dividend. And you find these shares in the DAX, and I think investors consider them as fair. They give a certain protection for the old family members and the controlling shareholders on the one hand, higher yield and acceptable standards for other shareholders. So we don't have to speak about multiple voting rights where control doesn't really correlate with risk you are taking. That could be a problem. But finally, I would leave this up to the market.